it's important to address education, and the Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham has been addressing that with its campuses spread across South India, headquartered in Coimbatore. And with me is Dr. Balakrishnan Shankar, Dean of the School of Engineering, and also Suresh Kodoor, Director for the Academia Industry Partnership. Dr. Balakrishnan, if I may ask you the first question, in terms of when we look at education and creating a future for tomorrow or the citizen of tomorrow, what would be the crucial focus, especially when it comes to technology and enabling a student to be industry ready at the end of the day?
First of all, thank you for inviting us over from Amrita to this wonderful summit. Let me answer your question in a slightly different way. In Amrita University, we started under, of course, our chancellor is Amma, the world-renowned humanitarian. And we started under her guidance a program called Live-in Labs, where the parent organization has adopted around 100 villages across the country. And our students go and work there. They take it as an elective, and they go and they actually work there, and they try to find out what the main problem is in that village and come back and work on a cost-effective solution and deploy it. And they get credit for it. Now, that kind of innovative ambience, you're forcing the students with real-life problems and you get to solve. And in the past 3 years, I'm happy to say we've filed 200 patents, and 100 of them are accepted, granted.
200 patents and 100 have been accepted?
Yes. But what I'm trying to say is that the atmosphere of innovation, the university has to set up an ambience for innovation and research. And so we strongly believe in giving students, real-life projects, in faculty real-life projects. They involve everybody in an ambience of research. The motto of Amrita University is compassion-driven research. So under Amma's guidance, we want to find solutions for the common man's problems.
You're talking about innovation that can actually have an impact in society for the betterment in a country of that nature. And that would mean, A, is the technical knowledge of it. B, it's also about understanding the realities and identifying a problem statement.
Absolutely.
And how do you go about that process?
How do I go about that process? First, you have to identify what the problem is or what is the scope. I'll use a small story to answer your question. When we were first setting up the wireless center, a center for detecting landslides, for wireless network for landslide detection, the director of the labs and the vice chancellor, we got the first funding from the European Commission. That was the first funding that Amrita got. This was in 2006, international funding. They went to Amma and said, we want to set up this center. Then Amma asked, so what are you going to do with that center? Amma said, the chance to save lives come very rarely. So if you can actually deploy your system in a place which is prone with landslides, and you actually save lives, then accept the money, otherwise you don't. So, when accountability when you work for a saint is very high. So that's exactly what we did. We identified a village in Munnar, which is North Kerala, Middle Kerala, and which is susceptible to landslides, and we deployed sensors there, and we were able to predict landslides, and we've already evacuated the villages twice, and we've saved lives. And now the wireless center there is known as a world center of excellence in landslide detection. So the goal is, to answer your question, you set the goal very high. How do I actually solve this problem? And you have to have an interdisciplinary team. The key is interdisciplinary. So we should stop thinking about this department or that department. The key is interdisciplinary, bringing skill sets from various sides. Use AI, use the tools that you can, predict and solve.
And it's not just about interdisciplinary in terms of departments, but it's about bringing together, let's say, the industry, the society, the government all together. And that's where your role comes in.
Yeah. Just to add to that, actually, how do you build this workforce for the future? As we know, the technological disruptions like, say, intelligent robots and generative AIs, they're all really disrupting and reshaping the whole job landscape. And that requires new skills. And say, for example, AI is a big disruptor. And it is estimated to replace around 85 million jobs in the next 2 years and create another 100 million jobs. So that requires new skills. Now here, one of the key differences, see, always automation has replaced jobs. But in the past, it's all manual labor-intensive jobs. The key difference this time is automation is replacing human intellectual functions. That is the key difference. So when the technology start replacing the roles that need cognitive abilities, it completely disrupts the industry, business process, and production process, and that requires new skills. That is what Amrita is now focusing on, how to skill our students to take up not only current challenges, but even tomorrow's job profile. And that needs the real collaboration with the industry. They work directly with the industry projects. They go to the industry as interns and work there. And also, probably one other key points is the live-in labs, which Dr. Bala will be able to highlight, where students go to the rural areas, they work with the population there, they identify the problem statements, come back and come with a resolution. So they get to work on real-life problems, real-world problems, both in the industry and in the society.
So you're forecasting problems of the future for the industry. You're looking at existential problems in society,
Right.
and you're trying to get a student to innovate and apply that innovation to a real-life solution, if I can put it in a nutshell.
Exactly.
And how do you
Student
promote
and-
then the spirit of entrepreneurship?
Student and faculty.
Student and faculty.
And
as well.
very-
How difficult is it? It's more difficult to make a student aligned to it or a faculty aligned to
See,
it?
you asked the right question. Say, the innovation, if you really look at in the knowledge era, the asset is actually intellectual property, IP, new knowledge. And the universities cannot remain as just centers of knowledge dissemination alone, knowledge distribution alone. They need to be knowledge creators. And that is where the innovation comes up. And innovation has to be, it's a mindset, it's a culture. You create new course, you introduce new subject, that will not create a mindset of innovation. It's a mindset, and Amrita is kind of focusing on that. Because let me tell you, innovation is not a natural ally to education. It may sound counterintuitive to at least to some, because education is training and skilling us to comply with what is existing. Now, if you want to disrupt, to change, you need to build that innovation culture, and that's what. And entrepreneurs is the drivers who will take that innovation into out there, into the world.
I'm just going to go off script a bit and just ask you both this question. How do you inspire that entrepreneurial spirit? Given that you have had an education system that was defined to cater products to the industry without having to actually reimagine it. Maybe we're walking into a very different world right now. How do you inspire that entrepreneurial spirit?
So I will just answer, then we'll give it to Dr. Bala. In the last year MSME hackathon for startup ideas, pan-India 35 ideas were selected, and 9 out of them were from Amrita University. So that's a great achievement in terms of how you encourage the students to start. We have a Amrita Center for Entrepreneurship, where we encourage the faculty and the students to start their own. We have recently also launched Atal Incubation Center, which is a Niti Aayog scheme. One of them in Coimbatore is at Amrita University, where we encourage startups to come. And one of the focus area is e-mobility, and the other being cybersecurity. Two key areas where India is going to add a lot.
So place where industry comes in to reach out and find these kind of young talent, which is both innovation and has entrepreneurial
They work
spirit.
together,
Right?
actually.
You asked me which is easier, the student or
Faculty
the
or
faculty. Right now, the scenario in the world is that the student is able to catch up much faster. He seems to be, because the faculty is already trained in a particular way and needs to rethink. So it's more difficult for the faculty now, because they've already come with some baggage. The student is fresh, literally fresh.
And
But
heavy
that's-
baggage some faculty come with.
But that said, when you confront somebody with a real life problem and say, I want it solved, and you set up an ambience where different people from different backgrounds come. For example, there are researchers doing AI and health. So they need to know health, they need to know how I can apply this. I can apply AI in predicting new materials. I can apply AI in discovering new drugs. So what happens is you need some domain knowledge, and you need new skills, and you need to set up an ambience that drives that forward.
And all this would be essential ingredients in creating a workforce for the future of India's
correct.
multi-trillion-dollar economy that you are
Exactly.
aiming for.
Absolutely,
One is the
absolutely.
workforce, and the other is on the higher end of the food chain, where you are leveraging the expertise of the internal researchers collaborating with the industry to create new technology. For example, like one of the research area we are focusing on is hydrogen as a fuel. Dr. Bala is spearheading those research. Hydrogen as an alternate fuel, because hydrogen vehicles could be one of the options for tomorrow. So that is how we take that research up.
Nested in the beautiful city of Coimbatore, in the middle of Western Ghats, I'm sure you have campuses around that place.
Yeah. Beautiful.
When it comes to that kind of a rural setting, the key challenge is also about getting more women into the workforce, more trained in that process. Is that a crucial challenge?
Thank you for asking that. Yes, we recently got the UNESCO chair for gender equality and women empowerment. And we've trained more than 100,000 women in a program called Amrita, where we help several women across India who are disadvantaged with set up small businesses and all that. We've used haptic technology to train women in various vocational skills, in different skills. For example, haptic technology is something, it's like a robotic device that gives you force feedback. So using the same device, I can teach many trades using the same thing. For example, on the screen, let's say I'm cutting a pipe. On the screen, I have a pipe. I change the material of the pipe from PVC to steel, then the force I feel is different. So using the same device, I can train a person on different machining operations. So using that, we've trained a lot of women in various vocational skills. I'm building toilets in their villages and things like that, and then setting up water filters. So that has led to a UNESCO chair in gender equality and women empowerment that Amrita has got. And we strongly believe that because in the villages, there is still a lot of gender bias when it comes to education.
And in terms of instilling the desire, for instance, where one of the big problems that India has often faced and spoken about is brain drain, where you have top educational institution people going, like you went to IIT, did a PhD in the US, most stay back, you came back. From a rural environment and in terms of an institute that you're running, how do you inculcate and inspire them to look at social problems, which may not be monetarily immediately rewarding, but it could give great rewards over a long period of time. How do you go about that process?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, Dr. Bala, I myself did my MS in US and I came back to India. So, and that reverse brain drain is only on the rise nowadays. But as I rightly said, see, an institution like ours, we focus on, again, more enabling the rural populations and those students, skilling them who contribute back to the country. So there are a lot of those programs. So not only we get the intakes, we also give back to the society. As Dr. Bala rightly said, we skill women and for making so that they can make a living out of the skills. So that is something certainly we are looking at. We focus on who want to get job. Almost 350 plus companies come for campus placement every year at the campus. We also encourage as entrepreneurship, where we facilitate. And one point I want to make is, see, most of the time why students don't jump into entrepreneurship is fear of failure. What if you try 2 years, 3 years and don't be successful, and can I get back to the job market? And if we can facilitate that, if we can assure that they will be taken care and they can come back to the job market, many students would dare to take up the entrepreneurship. That is something we must look at as a policy, that how to enable that.
I wish one of your students will come up with a technology to make more time, because we are run out of time on this conversation.
Great. And probably I want to make one last point is that academia and industry must understand each other's strengths and look for stronger collaboration for creating the technology breakthroughs and knowledge, so that we can make India a big economically as well as technologically advanced country.
On
Thank
that
you.
note, and I hope, wish you all success. Yes, very quickly, sir.
Yeah, we in Amrita, we not only have reverse brain drain, a lot of people coming back, we also have brain gain. There are people from other countries who have come and become our faculty.
Brain gain, not just reverse
Yes.
brain drain. Thanks very
Thank
much
you.
for being
Thank you
part
very
of
much.
the NDTV World Summit. And,
Thank you so much.
All the best on all your endeavors there. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for being here.
honorable dignitaries, guests, and my industry colleagues. It is my honor to be speaking here today. As the Honorable Prime Minister said, in a world full of chaos, what is being talked about is India. The India story is being talked about. We are well on track to cross the $5 trillion mark. This is exemplary and a reflection of how much progress we made over the past few decades. I will start with a personal story. In 1986, when I was a 6-year-old, my birthday gift was a 30-minute flight from Delhi to Dehradun on a Dornier aircraft. My second flight was only in 2003 to college, Delhi to Nagpur, 17 years after my first flight. The Indian middle class is now taking their second flight within days of their first flight. This has been possible due to the strong and business-friendly economic policies of the government. Just to put things in perspective, India has approximately 800 aircrafts. Another about 1,500 aircrafts are on order and expected to be delivered over the next decade. Two of the world's largest aircraft orders, I repeat, two of the world's largest aircraft orders have come from Indian carriers. I believe this is just the tip of the iceberg, and India will continue this exponential growth in coming years. Consider these numbers. India has a middle-class population of about 400 million. US has a total population of 300 million. United States has about 7,800 plus aircraft. India has 800 aircraft only. India has 0.20 seats per capita. We are fast catching up to mature markets such as China, which is 0.7 seats per capita, and US, which is 4 seats per capita. Less than 5% of Indians have ever been on an aircraft, and about 85% of domestic traffic is within metros, which means that there is huge runway for growth. There is a strong infrastructure push. As our Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, the number of airports doubled in the last decade, and we will touch about 220 by end of this decade. I speak for the industry when I say we are committed to our Honorable Prime Minister vision of Udan, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. We are ready for the challenge of connecting every Indian city, town with convenient, safe, and sustainable flight solutions. Indian airlines have already begun this journey. They have already run test flights with sustainable aviation fuel. As an engine maker, we at GE Aerospace have built new engines which are 10 to 15% more fuel efficient, less emitting than their predecessors. We are currently working on an engine design that will be about 20% more efficient than the current generation. GE Aerospace is a proud partner to Indian aviation industry for more than 40 years. We continue to be invested in India, focused in India. We have a Pune multimodal factory since 2015 that makes engine parts, components that are used by engines all over the globe. This year, we announced a $30 million investment into this facility to expand our production. This facility has trained over 5,000 polytechnic graduates in precision aerospace manufacturing skills. Later today, we will announce a $2.3 million global investment in skills, and a part of that will benefit polytechnics in India. Our engineers in Bangalore are researching on the next generation technology, and we are laying the building blocks of a robust supply chain ecosystem. In defense sector, we continue to work with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. They assemble our 11M2500 marine propulsion engines that powers Indian Navy carriers. They will soon manufacture the F414 military engine right here in India. The aerospace industry is an important driver of Indian economic growth, and flag bearer of our local manufacturing ambitions. We are making good strides in indigenous production of aircraft parts, commercial and defense, space exploration and cutting-edge defense technologies. The sector is creating high-skilled jobs and attracting high-value investments. At this moment, when I speak to you, over 900,000 people across the globe are flying with GE Aerospace technology under wing. This is a big responsibility, and we take that seriously. We at GE Aerospace are committed to our purpose, which is we invent the future of flight, lift people up, and bring them home safely. In closing, I will say, I cannot be more excited what India has to offer to the aviation sector and what this sector can do for India's economic growth. Thank you and Jai Hind.